How broad is the scope of the new export controls BIS just announced?
So there are unusual features to the new regulations which make them extend more broadly to a broader scope of activity than is typical or has traditionally been typical for export controls. BIS generally did not create new features here, but it used recently created features in a much broader way. So let me give you some examples. First, there are restrictions on activity based on the actor being a U.S. person. Now, that type of restriction did exist in the regulations before, but these restrictions based on U.S. person activity are much broader than they've ever been. So that is the first way that the new regulations have a much broader scope than before. Second, there are new restrictions that are tied to the end use or end user of an item that's been supplied into China or within China. Again, those types of restrictions based on end use and the end user are not a completely new idea, but the BIS has expanded those types of restrictions greatly. A third example is BIS expanded the extent to which the restrictions apply to transfers of items that were made outside the United States, in particular through new versions of the so-called foreign direct product rule. And so these are three, again, none of these features are new, but BIS used them in a way that is much more broad than the ways that it's used these features in the past.
Can you explain what is the definition of U.S. persons?
So the term BIS defines the term U.S. person in a conventional way. U.S. persons include, first, individuals who are U.S. citizens or U.S. permanent residents. That's one type of U.S. person. Second, U.S. persons include any company or other type of legal entity that is organized under U.S. law, no matter where it is. If it's a company and it's organized under U.S. law, it's a U.S. person. Third, anyone acting in the United States, whether it's an individual or a company, if they're acting in the United States, they're acting as a U.S. person. So those are the three categories of U.S. persons. And I know there's been particular concern about U.S. citizens who are employees of Chinese companies and working in China. And yes, it's a real concern. Those individuals need to be very careful about the work they do on behalf of their employers, and be careful to ensure that they don't engage in activity that requires authorization for U.S. persons under the new regulations.